The first week or so of the summer season went by in a flash, and thankfully with no issues. The sun shone brightly, and happy holidaymakers bustled through the island's towns and villages and onto packed trains.
I finally found it. Fear me.
All the engines were working hard to keep up with all the extra trains. One engine who wasn't happy with his lot, unsurprisingly, was Shawe. His extended solo stay at Stoborough, I hoped, was teaching him a lesson. I couldn't fault his work. He'd banked every train up the incline through Stoborough Tunnel and had done so very well, without incident and in a timely manner. Maybe his days having issues with gradients were behind him. Although a lot of the fleet thought he was getting what he deserved, one engine was troubled. I've got to feel for Shawe. He must be so sad there at Stoborough by himself. Can't be much of an existence banking trains all day.
It's alright, Stan. I give him something to do whenever I'm taking a train up there.
Meaning?
I get a break, if you know what I mean.
You don't get him to do all the work, do you?
Not all of it.
Dave, for goodness sake.
What? Like you said, it must be boring for him, so I give him something to do.
Your brother is so much more fun than you, Daniel.
I don't understand what's fun about it. It's like kicking him whilst he's down.
He's just disturbed, Stan. He needs this. It might knock some sense into him.
Or make him worse. Shawe was indeed disturbed, but not in the way Dave thought he was. He was sad and angry. Not just at himself, but at his situation too. A dangerous position to be in. One rainy night, he was attempting to sleep in the converted goods shed at Stoborough, whilst he waited for the midnight goods to turn up from the docks. Suddenly, he could hear footsteps, and in from the rain came a soggy-looking man wearing a brown suit. Sir, my lord. Oh, come on now, Shawe, you know you can call me Robert. Sorry, sir, I mean Robert. I'm glad I found you down here, Shawe. You are? Oh, yes. I've been meaning to speak to you. To me? Haven't you heard? Heard what? I'm in disgrace. Maybe with my father, but I can assure you, not with me. Oh, really, sir? Yes, really. Now, I know your position is far from ideal, but I know some people, including myself, that are watching you with great interest. But I'm doing nothing of note. Oh, aren't you? I recall a locomotive holding Stomouth's shed together through a difficult 9 months, all on their own, without help from any other engine. Going above and beyond to get not just your own work done, but the work of a colleague done. Not for the right reasons, though. Says who? Lord Stavell, Stan, Hercules, Ben, Ollie, Rod. Basically everyone. Well, what do they know, huh? You were sad. You're still sad. You're grieving the loss of a valued member of your fleet. Might I hasten to add, a loss that could have been avoided if my father had just forked out the cash to save her. You aren't saying Lord Stavell just sat and let her go without trying? Oh, absolutely not. I'm just saying we had the funds. We still have the funds to easily cover that. But I don't understand. I'm sorry. I've just caused you more stress. No, it's alright. Anyway, as I was saying, you do well here and I might be able to get you your old job back. Or better still, some real work out on the main line again. You'd like that, right? You could do that for me? You'd be very surprised at what I can do for you, providing you play your part for me. The sound of a steam engine arriving in the platform interrupted the conversation.
Come on in, my lovely boy. I can't be waiting here all night.
Remember what I said, Shawe. You still have friends on the island. Thank you, Robert. Oh, sure. Best not mention our little conversation here tonight. Wouldn't want to derail your chances before they'd even begun. Of course not. Shawe steamed out of the shed and headed to the rear of Windsor's train. With a huge effort, slipping and exhaust beats blasting into the night, they wrestled the heavy train up the incline. Shawe whistled his farewell as he rolled back down the gradient, back to the warmth and dryness of his shed, which, as he expected, was empty once again. As he attempted to fall asleep, he couldn't help thinking about what Robert had said. Did Lord Stawell really not put up a fight to keep Bride? He couldn't imagine it. Lord Stawell isn't that kind of man. But then again, if his own son has said so, then who am I to argue? Still troubled by this thought, Shawe went to sleep. The next morning at Stoborough Sheds, the day was beginning with an air of normality that hadn't graced the shed since the previous year. Oliver and Rod were chatting happily as they coaled and watered. Ben was sitting in the station with his auto coaches, and Rooke was bringing coaches for the first train to Retford. I know I've said this a couple of times now, but it's just amazing to see you out and about again, shunting trains and getting on with life. Thank you, Ben. I'm feeling so much better for being outside and doing something. I'm not fully fixed yet, but the days are easier. I've got something to come out of the shed for, you know. No one said it was going to be easy, but with a little bit of help from your friends, you'll get there. You'll have your good and your bad days, but what counts is the support you're getting from us. I wish Shawe was here to see this. Oh, not him again. Look, we've discussed this, and yes, I know your opinions. Keep them to yourself. Oi, oi, no lovers' quarrels here, please. How can I drop it, Ben? How am I supposed to? With great difficulty, I expect, but you'll just have to cope and seethe. If you don't watch out, you'll be late. Go on. Alright, I'll see you lads around. Say hi to Shawe for me, will you? Ugh. Ben. Alright. Ben departed the station, muttering to himself, whilst Rooke and Ollie watched him leave. Pay him no attention, he's just trying to show that he cares. So was Shawe. If that's what you want to believe, then fine, I ain't going to stop you. You too? I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. I can't believe you're all being so nasty about him whilst he's up at Stoborough all alone. Look, if you're that worried about him, go see him later during some downtime. You know what? Maybe I will. Anyway, I can't stand around here gossiping with you, I've got work to do. Windsor's goods trains won't shunt themselves up from the dock now, will they? Rooke defiantly puffed away to the docks. Not long after, Ollie also took his leave, taking his longer than usual stopping passenger train along the sunny valley. He didn't mind. He enjoyed the challenge. He was soon sidling into Stoborough Station, where Shawe was steaming happily away to himself in the yard. Shawe? Oliver? Rooke says, hello, yes, I know. Ben told me, among other things. You f***ing little f***. I ought to f***ing all over your f***ing smoke box. I can assure you his message was received loud and clear. Do you blame him? Not particularly. When one is without all the facts, they are sure to make mistakes. What do you mean without all the facts? We know what you've done. You said to Stan, to Hercules. I said those things whilst highly stressed, to keep them off my back. You can't seriously think any of what I said was true now. I could have said anything to get them off my back. What in the... I was perfectly justified in what I did, and I have no shame, for I have no need for it. You're mental. Oh, we'll see who's mental when I'm rewarded for my hard work. The only reward you're likely to get from Lord Stavel is the knowledge that he won't be scrapping you if you do your work this summer. Shaw was about to reply when Dave arrived on a light engine move.
What are you talking to this head case for, Ollie?
Ah yes, the chronically work-shy Black Five himself.
Work shy? At least I've moved today.
Without a train, I see.
Why would I have a train?
Seems an awful waste to run you down here light engine when there's a goods train due to come down in what, 10 minutes after you?
That's Windsor's job, though.
Yeah, and?
Ah, yes, I forgot. You're not above taking other people's work, are you?
I didn't take it. I covered for a sick colleague.
I told you, Ollie. He's cracked.
I'm not getting involved anymore. I've got to go.
Coward.
Ollie departed Stoborough, making a lot of noise, which drowned out most of what Dave was shouting at Shaw. Although Ollie thought he heard the words,
Psychopathic engine killer!
Later that day, Dave was sitting at Stomouth Sheds. He'd turned and was waiting for one of the expresses to arrive at Stomouth Marine. In the meantime, Windsor had dropped his goods train in the siding and reversed into the shed to fuel up.
Ah, if it isn't my newest recruit. David, stand to attention when I'm talking to you!
How the bloody hell am I supposed to stand to attention? It's impossible!
Oh dear, lovely boy. Not a good start, is it? Well, what news have you got for me?
Nothing much. The usual. Sure being a complete and utter moron.
A few weeks in his isolation ought to sort him out good and proper. Mind you, back in my day, he's had been straight in Islam until he was ready.
That might actually work better than his current setup. I overheard him talking to Ollie this morning. He seems to think he'll be rewarded for this hard work.
The only reward he'll has is not being sent away.
You're right there. He's on thin ice as it is.
Well, don't you go screwing it up for him any more than it already is.
I don't plan to.
Don't you believe it? I've seen engines like you before.
I should say so. Stan's been here for long enough.
Oh, Staniel might be like you, but he isn't like you.
Yeah, I get where this is going. Stan is an outstanding citizen and a model for what everyone else should be like.
He's a right blinking pufter, that's what. He needs some lessons in real discipline. He'd have this fleet licked right and proper then.
Oh, that's not fair. You can't say that.
He fannies about the point. He needs to bark out his orders like he means it. By God, it would put the fear into this lot.
Bloody hell, Windsor. This lot have been through enough without that.
Hard work and discipline. That's the only way, my lovely boy. I remember back in France during the war, we had a general who was such a ninny. The sounds of a cuckoo made him drop his ashpan. The lads rolled over him.
Dave groaned as Windsor began another one of his wartime anecdotes.
One went down, and another, and another. Good lads.
Luckily, not long after this begun, he was saved by the arrival of a humongous apple green Pacific. Alfred passed the sheds with a diverted Wyvern service.
I'm very sorry to break up this party, but I've got to go.
Coward.
Dave reversed out of the shed, through Stomouth Town Station and down to Stomouth Marine. It was a large station with 2 long platforms and 2 run-round loops in the middle. In one of these loops already stood Alfriston Cathedral. Dave backed onto the train in the platform. You're not Stan.
No, I'm not. I said I'd cover this one for him while he was having a chat with Hercules. He's doing the Midland train later.
Won't someone notice?
No, we're the same class.
Ah yes, the difference being you're green and he's black.
Freezing.
It'll be right. Don't worry yourself.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to go away now? I need to leave in 5 minutes.
Alright. I'll see you later when you get back. Please don't break my coaches.
Don't worry, they're in safe hands.
Yeah. With that, Alfred made his way up the bank out of the station. And shortly after, the guard waved his green flag, blew his whistle, and Dave found himself blasting up the incline towards Stomouth town. He felt the weight of all 10 coaches behind him. With time to catch his breath at Stoborough town, he then departed for his jaunt along the branch. He appreciated the quieter, laid-back air of the branch, even if it was in full mainline mode for the summer. He was soon arriving at Stoborough, where Shawe was waiting for him. Are you actually going to put some effort in today, Dave?
Effort? I always put 110% into my work.
Into chatting, maybe?
Yeah, of course, like you currently aren't doing that.
Alright, yes, very funny. I'm going. Shawe went round to the back of Dave's train and was soon ready for the off. Dave whistled that he was ready, and Shawe replied, and the 2 engines got the train moving on the flat. Unsurprisingly to Shawe, he soon felt the train get heavier as they hit the bank, and very soon it was evident that Dave had mostly shut off steam.
Come on, Shaw. We're going so slowly. You're so weak.
Dave, what is going on? Why is this train so heavy? Why are you being an ass?
I'm not. You're just weak.
With a huge effort, Shawe got the train to the top of the hill, and Dave finally took up the slack and continued on his way. Shawe let himself roll back down the hill, and he was soon in his shed once more. He grumbled to himself about Dave, and presently the sound of another train arriving into the station stirred him from his thoughts. Morning, Shawe. Hello, Rod. What's up? You look troubled. Nothing is the matter, other than Dave being a lazy good-for-nothing. Can't deny he can be lazy at times, but he means well, you know that. Hear that off Stan, did you? Well, Hardwick said it too. God, the sooner we find a proper replacement for Bride and the 2 Black Fives get gone from this branch, the better. If it's not Stan being incompetent, it's his bloody brother being a complete prat. Oh, come on, Shawe, what's going on? You can tell me. Every time I bank any of Dave's trains, he shuts off steam and lets me do all the work. No one else does that. Not Windsor. Not you guys. Even Stan, despite his other flaws, actually pulls his weight up the bank. How long has this been going on for? Since I started banking duties? Have you not told Lord Stavell? Of course not. He wouldn't listen to me anyway. How do you know? He hasn't come to see me since the day the timetable started. Look, you know how busy he is. I'm sure he trusts you to do your job here well enough for him to leave you alone. Can't imagine he trusts me at all. He's got me out of the way here, hasn't he? Of course he trusts you. Don't be stupid, Rod. You're more appreciated than you realise. You just need to take it steady. Easy for you to say. You never worked in the coalfields. All you've known is this idyllic island life. Yes, and I'm grateful for that. You couldn't go through what you've said you went through. Well, you'll understand why I do what I do then. I've got to be busy and useful here, or I'll end up back there. Do you genuinely believe that Lord Stavell will send you away? I don't know, but it's not a chance I'm going to risk taking. If I work hard, who knows what opportunities may come my way. A reward for my dedicated service to the island would be nice. Surely working here is reward enough. Easy for you to say whilst you blast up and down the branch all day. I'm stuck here in the middle of the island. If you wait the summer out, I'm sure Lord Stavell has something good in store for you. I wish I was naive as you. Look, I'm just trying to help. I know, you're young, you want everyone to get on. Well, I was going to give you a solution to your Dave issue. Oh? You could always give as good as you get, you know. You shut off before he has a chance to. He'll have to pull the train up the hill, and you can just toddle behind with no effort. Ooh, now that's good. I like it. That could work. That would teach him. Just make sure you keep the passengers safe. Anything goes wrong, you push like there's no tomorrow. Don't pull this stunt during the rain or anything. I wouldn't dream of it, young one. Right, I'm off. Good to speak to you properly again. Take care of yourself. Likewise, Rodley. Rod blasted away towards Stoborough, while Shawe smirked to himself. He hadn't expected such a plan to be pitched to him, let alone by Rodley. The day drew out as normal. Windsor passed through with a goods train. Stan headed towards Stoborough, and not long after a large Pacific headed north with much gusto, the exhaust beat causing the ground to shake. Shawe banked a few more trains up the incline that day before hunkering down for some rest before the night's goods. As part of our good business relations, Edgar and I had a deal for my railway to provide the oil needed for his steam engines to run. Unlike my conventional steam engines, his were oil burning. The oil used came from our larger sister island, Porthston. The train came regularly and was usually in the hands of one of their engines. On this day, however, Windsor was in charge. After a challenging climb over the western banks, he soon found himself dropping down into Stoborough. Unbeknownst to him or anyone else, one of the tankers was leaking, and as the wagons bumped themselves down the hill, a large amount had spilled inside the tunnel. The foundations had been laid for a disaster. Meanwhile, at Stoborough Marine Station, Dave had just taken his place at the head of the new Wessex Pullman. He was ready to take it the short distance to Alfriston and was expecting a prompt departure.
Honestly, why do all this at the end of the branch line? Why not run the cruise ships out of Repmouth where there's a bigger dock, better railway facilities, and it's not single track?
What's wrong with the branch?
Come on, dude, you can't be happy to miss out on the main line running to Alfriston.
Not really. It's a change of pace, innit? Of course, it's not what I'm used to, but here I can really use my power at low speeds.
Shame you guys can't go up and over Stoborough Bank. A gradient like that would be a real show of power.
Well, yeah, but you know how it is.
Yes, means I've got to rely on old grumpy wheels down there to get up the hill instead. Going to be a real challenge with this lot.
Just then, the guard's whistle blew.
Right, I'm off.
Enjoy, and good luck up at Stoborough.
Thanks, I'm gonna need it.
Dave blasted away from Stoborough Marine, and as he arrived into Stoborough town, he noticed the signal was at danger. The reason was soon evident as Windsor rounded the curve with his fuel train. As soon as he passed, the signal dropped and Dave continued his journey. He flew along the valley with a relaxed air and was soon arriving into Stoborough.
Come on then, Shaw. There's some caviar-eating toffs in here that need to get to Alfriston.
Can't keep the toffs waiting, can we, Mr. Dave? Shaw smirked as he buffered up to the rear of Dave's train and whistled to him that he was ready. Their departure was sure-footed at first, and they gained some speed on the flat. But as they hit the gradient, Shaw put his plan into action. He backed off slightly, and he could hear Dave up front, his exhaust getting louder and louder.
Oi, you back there! A little help, please?
I'm doing all I can.
I don't believe you.
Shaw watched as the head of the train entered the tunnel, but just as he was about to power up again, it happened. The echoing of some catastrophic wheel slip came from the tunnel, and suddenly the entire weight of the train was on Shaw. He panicked and attempted to put down full power, but he slipped. Oh no, not again. Both engines slipped like crazy on the oil laid by Windsor's train, and they began sliding back down the hill. They desperately attempted to gain control in vain as their speed increased.
What the hell is going on, Shaw?
I don't know, my sanders are jammed.
Thanks for nothing, you useless goods tank.
They continued slipping back down the hill, both making an effort to get the train under control.
We better bloody stop before we block the main line.
That was when the two engines heard something that made them shiver. A whistle blasted out across the valley. It was Alfred storming along with the Wessex Wyvern. Oh god, this is the end, isn't it? Stop! Stop! Shaw, what the hell are you doing? Suddenly, Shaw found his sanders were working, and the influence was immediate. The sand helped him grip, and with his brakes hard on, they came to a stop just in time as Alfred thundered through the station. Oh god, it's all my fault, it's all my fault.
What the fucking hell was that, Shaw? You could have been killed. These people could have been killed. Shaw? Shaw?
There was no reply.
For goodness sake, that dribbling wreck almost caused an accident. Go tell him to get a grip.
Dave's crew got down and went to investigate,
Hurry
but
up,
they
you
found
two.
Shaw was nowhere to
He
be
ain't
seen.
there.
What ain't there?
The 8-ton banking engine.
Oi!
Eh?
He
ain't
ain't
there.
there.
Who ain't there?
The
banker.
banker.
What? The bank? Shaw? Where's he got to then? I mean, he can't just... He ain't there.
Indeed, Shaw had disappeared. With the lack of a banker, Dave, it seemed, was stranded.
This is another fine mess he's gotten me into.
Later that night at Retford Sheds, Dave was angrily telling his tale to the others, who'd obviously already heard about it off the grapevine, but who were eager to hear the details firsthand.
I should have known he was up to something. I mean, I know Pullmans are heavy, but I know I was doing all the work. If he'd just been helping...
Do you know why you slipped?
Oil on the track. Turns out our friend Windsor had a broken wagon on his fuel train from Portston. He left the trail all the way from Repmouth. My crew had to walk all the way up the hill with buckets of sand to put on the rails. That's how I finally got underway.
Oh, that's just so typical, isn't it? 3 strikes now, he's got to be out. Good evening, all. Good evening, sir. I know none of you probably have, but I need to ask you, have any of you seen Shaw, or at least have any idea where he might be? What do you mean?
Is he not at Stoborough?
No, he isn't. It seems he's just vanished. No one has seen hide nor hair of him since he left you stranded at Stoborough earlier.
How bizarre. Maybe he's having a think about the consequences of his actions.
Dave, the oil on the tracks is hardly his fault. I can't punish him for that.
Yeah, but the lack of effort you can punish him for.
Don't be silly. I need him to know that I'm not angry with him. I just need to know he's okay. If any of you hear anything, tell me immediately. I turned on my heel and left Dave to continue telling his tale. Meanwhile, down at Stoborough, they were already well aware of Shaw's disappearance and were discussing the whereabouts of their colleague. Perhaps he's finally run back to the coalfields. Couldn't hack it in the quiet of the island. You know that's not true, he hated the coalfields. Doesn't stop engines doing weird things. Victims can sometimes miss their abusers, you know. What are you implying? I'm just saying, he's not in a good place mentally and he could do anything. I wonder what caused him to do that, though. To play with people's lives like that. A Pullman train full of important people. A complete leave of his senses, I think. Doesn't seem like him at all. He wouldn't be so awful, would he? What do you think, Rodley? You've been pretty quiet tonight. What? Me? No idea, mate. Obviously he's gone completely potty or something. Sorry, I'm really tired tonight. Yeah, aren't we all? I'm going to hit the hay. Night, lads. The engines at Stoborough, one by one, fell asleep in their shed roads. All except Rod, whose stare into the middle distance hadn't broken. He knew exactly why Shaw had done what he'd done, but for it to go almost as wrong as it did, that wasn't part of his suggestion at all. Rod shut his eyes, fully expecting not to get a minute of sleep that night. Well, well, well. Isn't this a fine how do you do, Shaw? I'm sorry, Robert. I screwed up. I just wanted to get back at Dave and get him to do some work for a change. Of course you were, Shaw. You want what's best for the railway, just like me. You value hard work over all else, just like me. Of course I do. I've done my time in the coalfields. I did my hard work. But I'm more than prepared to work hard on this island, for this island. And I've seen that, Shaw. I've seen the work you've put in, all the effort you've put in, all the track work, all the long goods trains off the branch line. Who's keeping the line's goods traffic afloat? You. I do what I can, sir. You've done more than your fair share and you're not being rewarded for it. I think it's time we stepped up some plans of mine, Shaw. Oh, but what about Lord Stavell? Do you really think he has your best interests at heart? He replaced you with a clapped-out war veteran. He's allowed a crazy tank engine to take over the shunting in the yard here too. His involvement with that mad, purple-eyed tyrant and his merry cavalry of murderous blackguards is a huge mistake that is bleeding the railway's finances dry, thanks to some pitiful nostalgic notion of togetherness. No, only with me as a manager of the railway are you safe, Shaw. Only I can see your potential. Now, will you help me guess what I want? I'll do anything.